So welcome everybody. And I'd like to welcome we've got several new members and I'd like to welcome them and also those of you who are not members. I hope you like us well enough to become members, of course. So this is the agenda for tonight. I've got a few announcements and a bit of news, and then our main presentation, our small presentation is a Did You Know series by Steve Wood. And we'll finish up with the items about upcoming meetings and a few other housekeeping things. So remember that in Zoom, we're going to leave your cameras and microphones off. In the chat window, when you look down at the very bottom of the window where you can type your comment or question, which is right here. In the to box, click the down arrow, and if you have technical problems, you want the Ontario Ancestors host. And if you've got questions for the speakers, you would pick the questions person, which happens to be me. OGS is excited to announce that they're making a change to their price structure for the international family. It used to be paying US dollars. Well, now it's for those who live outside of Canada, it's paying Canadian dollars instead of US dollars. That's got to be a saving of, I don't know, 25 or 30% now. And OGS members, note that you're going to be getting information on how to vote on the draft bylaws. There is a draft on the website under the link Society Notices, if you haven't had a chance to look at that before in other communications. And Janice Carter is our new cemeteries coordinator, and she needs volunteers for updating certain of our cemeteries. It's been quite a while, and there's a lot of active cemeteries that need updating. This is a great summer job. Get out there in the fresh air and the sunshine. You're going to take the current transcription of the stones and you're going to go read the stones for any new additions and new stones. And so what do you do in the winter? That was a good summer job. What do you do in the winter? Well, we retype up those new stones and information, and that's a perfect occupation for winter or during a lockdown, heaven forbid, as you do it all at home. So just send your information to the branch email and market cemeteries. We'd love to have you on our team. And I've got some great local news here. If you've ever thought about writing a book, we have a great opportunity here in the region. The Uxbridge Public Library is partnering with the Friesen Press to give you an introduction to self-publishing. It's going to be presented by their publishing consultant, Friesen Press, Jamie Oliver, or Olivier, I guess it is. This is a free webinar, May 5th. It's a Thursday at 7 p.m. And I asked Ian Kershaw, who is our contact person at the Uxbridge Library, if I could publicize this to my audience. He said there are lots of Zoom seats available. So you can go in person if you're local to Uxbridge, but otherwise you need to contact Ian Kershaw at this particular email, or you can actually call the library and they will give you the communication links. Don't forget the OGS monthly webinar. That's in 2 nights. This webinar will help you locate genealogy records held in libraries and archives worldwide using online archival portals and digital finding aids. Learn how archivists make collections accessible. We'll get specific URLs for institutional, regional, and worldwide archival portals. Even better, we'll get effective search terms and strategies for finding genealogy records and archives. That can be a challenge, so this could be very good. And registration is open. The Ontario Ancestors Virtual Conference, June 24th to 26th. The speakers in the program are up now on the website, which is conference2022.ogs.on.ca. It's a great lineup. I had a good look at it today. There's something for everyone. The cost of the Friday evening, Saturday, and Sunday is $79. That's a bargain. And we've got MyHeritage doing a workshop day on the Friday, which does have an extra charge of $25. And you do have to make sure you register for it. All recordings from both the MyHeritage Day and the conference itself are going to be available to view again until July 31st, so 5 weeks afterwards. So this is really great. No having to worry about missing things because there's 2 things you want to watch at the same time. And at this point, we'll go into our main presentation with Sher Leetooze. So Cheryl Branton Leetooze is a local Durham County author, storyteller, historiographer, as well as a family researcher. She's presented many topics over the years to our branch, and today will be a brief overview of the various genealogy resources across Canada, archives, websites, society libraries, etc., told in her own inimitable style. Cher has written countless books, and at this point, I will stop my sharing and will allow Cher to come along. So at this point, I'm going to call on Stephen Wood. He's got a Did You Know? And the topic is registration districts and the new GRO index, which is the General Registry Office for England and Wales.
Okay, are you seeing my screen?
I am.
Okay, we'll get started then. And
Okay.
I even remember how to find the arrows at the bottom. Better than last time. Okay, this concerns the registration districts and what I call the new GRO index. However, it's been around a while, so I probably should have called it new-ish. But this is in England and covers England and Wales. So you've probably all used the free BMD website by now, so you have an idea of what is available there. And with this website, it's nice because you can narrow your searches by a date range, by the counties, and even by the registration districts, if you know them. This is a sample of their homepage right here. You can see the districts. The date range is over here, and you can plug in a county. So even if you know the county you're searching in, you can narrow the field down a certain amount, which is great. However, the index does not include mother's name or her maiden name, excuse me, prior to the third quarter of 1911, nor does it include the age at death before 1866. And that age is very helpful when you're trying to sort through a whole list of them to find the right person. Okay, now this newish General Register Office index to births and deaths at actually, if you just type in GRO, it should probably come up in a Google search. This will fill in the gaps with those missing entries for maiden names and ages, for births and deaths. And this can help you narrow down the number of results. So this is the home page of the General Register Office, or GRO. You can see they also have the HM, Her Majesty's Passport Office on there too, I guess, or at least they're linked together. It's part of that. You do have to register to log in. However, it is free. There's no charge, and there's no charge to use the index. So it's a wonderful setup that way. Okay, this new GRO index does not sort by county, however, which the free BMD did. So that part was very helpful. If you don't know the registration district you're looking for, you can be looking at a large number of answers to your query. Okay, here's the initial page for the searches for the GRO indexes. This one, as you can see, I've clicked the birth. You put in a date and it's good searchable by 2 years. So it actually covers 5 years. It'll cover, in this instance, 1838, 1839, 1840, 41, and 42. So a total of 5 years. You do have to have a surname to put in here. It can be exact or you can alter it a certain amount. You don't have to have a first name and a second name in there. If you know them, that's great. If not, you do have to have the sex of the person. If you know the mother's maiden name, you can put it in there. It's not necessary. And this is the column where you would put your district of birth. And if you don't know that, that's when, oops, so I'm sorry. That's when things can get a little dicey. One way to cheat a little bit to find the registration district is to use the census indexes at Ancestry. Because if you can find a birth or death that happened, especially if it was close to the year of the census, 1841, 51, et cetera, then you can pick off the registration district from there. And we'll just give you some examples here. So here is an ancestry index for 1841. This is for Isaac Taylor. He's age 45, so he's born sometime between 1792 and 1796 because they rounded down in 1841. He was born in Cumberland, England. And as you can see, the registration district is called Penrith. There's his daughter, Esther Taylor. She's age 10 months, so presumably she's born about 1840. There's the same family in the 1851 census. Now it says he's born about 1794. So that's well within that range we had, right in the middle. He's still in the Penrith registration district. And Esther's 10 years old, which is approximately what we felt she should be, 10 or 11 years old. Interestingly enough, they, excuse me, registered or indexed his birth as St. Mary St. Font, which actually should be St. Mary without. So spelling is a little difficult in some of these indexes, but that gives you all the basic information. Okay, so here's a birth looking for Esther Taylor. We know she was born about 1840, and I allow 2 years either side just in case. You'll notice I put similar sounding variations on her forename simply because you can spell Esther several different ways. And you can put Penrith in here, or if you didn't put Penrith in, you would have gotten 62 different records to search through. There's the whole list of them, most of them with the mother's maiden name here, some without. So when I do put Penrith in search, I ended up with one entry. Esther Taylor, 1840, which is what we figured, in Penrith Union. Interestingly enough, in this particular example, if I'd have put her mother's maiden name in, I would not have found it because her mother's maiden name is actually Railton, not Gailton, which, so sometimes you have to hunt around a little bit. Apparently the original indexes were even worse. They were extremely bad, apparently, with some of the spelling errors when they indexed it. So this new version of the GRO is supposed to be a lot better. So but it still does have the odd mistake in there. Okay, here's an example for the deaths. I knew that Isaac Taylor did not show up in the 1861 census. So I searched between 1851 and 1861. 1856. Again, I'll show you the difference with and without the Penrith in here. If I did not put Penrith in as a registration district, I would have had to go through 48 different entries. Some are obviously not the ones we're looking for because they're only 0 or 1 year old, or et cetera, et cetera. 26 too young, 35 too young. So you could weed quite a few of them out. But by putting Penrith in, I ended up with 2 entries. One with an age of 0, one with an age of 62, which happens to work out to 1794, which is the same age as the 1851 census. So this, by putting in the registration district, you can really simplify your search. Okay, FamilySearch.org, the index there also mentions the registration districts. Here's the 1841 census for Isaac again, Penrith. 1851 over here, Penrith. So it does work with those two. I haven't tried any of the other companies' indexes, and I don't know if it always works, but it certainly makes the searches much easier and faster and reduces a lot of the clutter that you might get. According to records on the internet, the 1851 through 1911 census districts should match the vital records locations. Apparently 1841 may not always match, but I've never had a problem with it. So, but you just have to be aware that 1841, there may be changes. Now, if you really want to go the hard way, you can find a list of places in each registration district at ukbmd.org.uk/reg, and it will give you an index of place names for the whole of England and Wales. It was quite a long list, but you can do it that way as well if you do not have any luck using the census records. Happy hunting. Any questions?
I haven't seen anybody put anything in the chat, so I'll check it in a little bit, but I want to say thank you, Steve, for another great tip. You always come up with some good ones.
Well, it's great for beginners anyways. A lot of people will know it, but for anyone starting out, it can really speed up your searches.
Yes. Thank you so much.
No problem.
There we go. And I failed to tell you that Steve's one of our key persons on our research team. So he's looking for questions. He says it's slacked off lately. So if you've got any questions for Durham Region Branch, don't hesitate to send them in to the branch and market research. Now, we're working really hard on our library catalog as well. And so that's one thing that's happening as a project for the branch. And we are also looking at starting up a library virtual drop-in session, maybe this month, maybe next month. So keep your eye on our Facebook group, website, or blog, and we'll keep you up to date on to how we progress with that. And at this point, if Sheila is on, she's got a quarterly treasurer's report for us. So I can bring that up, Sheila, if you can unmute your mic.
Mute. Yes, I think it's unmuted.
Okay, and here's the report that you sent to me, and you can talk to it.
Great, thank you, Nancy. So this is my report for the first quarter of 2022. I just broke it down into months. The Withdrawals are pretty standard, our standard withdrawals, the rent, guest speakers, a couple of newsletters, and our service charge. And the deposits, we've had membership fee added both January and February, as well as e-store sales and donations. And we got HST rebate in January and a COVID grant in February. So far, nothing in March, or nothing came in March, but probably we'll be getting some checks from OGS in the next little while. So, oops, can't see. So our current balance of our account is $3,097.30. And that's it.
Okay, thanks so much, Sheila.
Thank you, Nancy.
It's nice to know we're solvent.
Yep.
Okay, joining us next month is one of our favorite speakers, Bob Dawes. He gave us his original Scotland from Abroad in April 2016, and it is on our YouTube channel if you want to go back and check that out. But there's been so many advances in the last 5 years for Scottish research that Bob has created Scotland from Abroad, the next level. So it's for moving beyond the basics of Scottish research, and covers some of those harder to find records and some new resources for locating those records. Specifically, the presentation drills down into the newly released Kirk Session records and land tax records. And it also explains how to use maps to find the croft mentioned in your ancestors' documents. Of course, I don't have anybody in a castle, so croft I will be very interested in. And it takes a new look at some basic Scottish research resources. So join us on May 3rd at 7:30, and I'm really looking forward to it, and I think it'll be a good time. In June, we've got an introduction to GEDmatch with Mags Galden booked. And in September, we've got Jane McNamara talking about Ontario's records of inheritance on Family Search. And Family Search has been working hard to bring those onto their website. They've been part of the microfilm digitization project. So we have a DNA special interest group, and it is meeting April the 20th at 7 p.m. If you're not on my mailing list, give me a shout if you wish to join us, and I'll get you onto the mailing list and get you the link. We had a plea on cemeteries. I'm going to add a plea on the Ontario Name Index coordinator, Stacy. We need more people to help get our cemetery indexes up into Tony, followed by a few of our census publications. And if you do wish to do some indexing for Tony, we provide the cemetery publication, and you record it into an Excel spreadsheet, and that then gets sent in. We have actually sent in about 11 new cemeteries to Tony, and it will be showing up in the next batch upload. So we're starting to make some progress on that. There are many different ways to contact the branch. We have a website, we have a general email box, durham@ogs.on.ca. There is a Facebook group that is a good place to ask questions. We have a general YouTube channel when speakers give us permission to post it to the public. A lot of our presentations are there, and we do have a blog. We also have a donation button on our main page. If you are appreciating our great speakers, I do invite you to make a donation to the branch. It goes through Canada Helps, which will email you a tax receipt virtually instantly but it is for a certain amount. I'm not quite sure what it is. I've heard $20 from some people and $10 from somebody else. So we've had some great donations this year, and I want to give those donors a huge thank you because that maintains the quality of our speakers. So at this point, I've reached the end of the meeting. I just want to check the chat again to see if there was anything. Yes, there's a few questions for Steve. If you want to unmute again, I'll ask them now. So Trish has said, great presentation. Quick question, is Ireland considered part of England at this time? And
Well,
no, Northern Ireland has its own register office, doesn't it?
yeah, the GRO is strictly for England and Wales at this time, as far as I know. The Scotland and Ireland, either north or the other, would be separate.
Yes. So I have another comment. That was interesting. I haven't used your newer site, so that's good. That's from Kim. Jim Bowen asked, have you ordered directly from the GRO any of their PDFs?
I believe I ordered one a long time ago. I have not done anything more recently. I tend to just use the index to find, especially wives, maiden names, things like that, or to make sure I'm working with the correct family in the first place. But I did a long time ago, but I can't speak for recent.
Okay. And just a final wrap up here. Heather's saying, thank you for offering this webinar. I have learned a lot. So it could apply to either of our great speakers tonight. So thanks again, Steve. And thank you to everyone who came, and please join us in May. That will be a great one on Scotland. And that's the end of the meeting. Thank you very much.